Hello and welcome back to another episode of Ask a Creationist. I'm Todd Wood. I'm president of Core Academy of Science. I am an engaged creationist and I'm here to answer your questions about science, faith, the Bible, evolution, fossils, you name it. We would like to hear from you. What is it that you're wondering about? We would love to be able to help find an answer. If I don't know the answer, I got lots of friends who know lots of things. I can ask them. We can come up with some good answers for you. So if you're curious and interested about something, let us know. So this week's question is interesting, and it's very simple. If we evolved from monkeys, why are there still monkeys? I hear this very often because, well, frankly, most of my colleagues wouldn't ask this kind of question, but I do see it from time to time, for example, on social media, that sort of thing. So I thought, hey, maybe I could answer this question because there is an answer. Now, the question comes from, I think, a very simple linear idea about evolution, right? We call it the March of Progress diagram. This is pretty famous. And if you look at the March of Progress diagram, you get the sense that things are evolving from one thing to the next. There's a transformation from sort of animals all the way up to fully upright human beings at the end of it. And if you look at the very beginning, sure enough, that is a monkey. So clearly we have evolved from monkeys, and if this March of Progress diagram is correct, then why in the world are there still monkeys around? Well, in reality, there's two problems with this. One, that's not really how evolutionists think about evolution. The March of Progress diagram, it's a cute cartoon, but it's not really how an evolutionary biologist would conceive of the evolutionary relationships of humans and primates, okay? And the second issue is that we didn't evolve from monkeys. And that's true regardless of whether you're a creationist or an evolutionist. We didn't evolve from monkeys. And I'll explain that here right now. So first of all, we need to look at how an evolutionary biologist would really depict the relationships of the various primate groups. So here they are, and there are a bunch of them, and yes, we get more specific the farther to the right you go. We get down to people, yes, on the far right there. And the monkeys are over here. And so if we were to say that we people evolved from monkeys, we would have to conceive of evolution moving in this fashion, from monkeys to people. But this is not how the evolutionary biologist understands evolution. They understand evolution instead moving up the tree, so that these branches of this tree go back in time to points where there are ancestors of modern creatures that lived at some point in the past. Specifically, a common ancestor that unites here, that brings together all of its descendants, the New World monkeys, the Old World monkeys, the gibbons, the orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, and people. So that we don't actually evolve from monkeys. We instead evolve from a common ancestor that we share with monkeys. At least, remember, this is how the evolutionary biologist would perceive it. It is not my own opinion. So this is the real way that an evolutionist would understand the relationships of monkeys to people. And I think it's perfectly legitimate at this point to ask the question, well, what is this common ancestor? Is the common ancestor a monkey? If we could see this common ancestor, would we today call it a monkey? Would we put it into the monkey category? And the answer, I think, is that I don't know. I don't know that we have those ancestral fossils that we can definitively say are the ancestors of monkeys and people. And even if we did have them, I'm not sure that we would recognize them specifically as a monkey or as some ancestral monkey that was ancestral to us as well. Monkeys are a pretty specialized group of primates, two groups of primates here. And so, yeah, I'm not sure that we would look at this putative ancestor and recognize it as a monkey. So even if you understand what they call the phylogeny here, the evolutionary tree that relates the monkeys and people, you're still not necessarily coming from a monkey. But even more than that, there's one other issue that I have with that question that people ask, and that is, it doesn't really work, right? So we could ask the same thing about people. If we descend from parents, why are there still parents? And I hope you can see, well, that doesn't make any sense. Parents don't just keel over and die the day their kid is born, barring, horrible tragedies. That would be very sad, but normal circumstances, parents don't just die when they give birth to children. And it's in the evolutionary perspective, the way of thinking about species and their origins, that's the same sort of thing. An entire species does not simply transform into another species. There's typically going to be a branching event that happens where now you have a daughter species and a parent species, and they eventually diverge and become sister species. So it's not a matter of one entire species transforming completely wholesale into another species. That's not how an evolutionary biologist would conceive of things. Now, as a creationist, when I look at this diagram, this phylogeny here, this relationship of lemurs and tarsiers and all that, all the way over to people and chimpanzees and gorillas, I have another question, and that is, did any of this actually happen, right? Is this tree telling us something just about the similarity of these creatures, and maybe just one thing about the similarity of these creatures? Or is this tree actually representing something that really happened, that there really are ancestors of monkeys and people? Or should we consider it more of a series of trees, right? A series of created kinds that relate various creatures to common ancestors that were created in the beginning. And so we don't have a single tree relating all of the primates together, but we have individual trees, forest of the primates, right? Where each individual tree is a different group of closely related species that descend from, in this case, creatures that were saved on Noah's Ark. Now, that legitimate question is going to have to wait for another day because that's not this question. But that is an interesting question. We might tackle that in the future, especially if you really want to know more about it. But we also have other videos that you can watch regarding the relationships of humans and apes. So thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you didn't enjoy it, hit the like button anyway. If you'd like to keep up to date with what we're doing, go ahead and subscribe. You can also click on that bell button to get notifications if you want. Visit us at coresci.org. Online, you'll find links there to our social media accounts on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you really liked it, we very much appreciate a donation. This year has been tough with COVID cutting people's income and cutting our income, and we could use your support. So thank you very much for watching. See you next time.